Hey, everybody, it's Teepa. And I have someone here today who I did not even know was my friend, but it turns out we're friends. And she's known me for quite a bit, and I've made a difference, and I had no idea. So I'd like y'all to meet Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca.
Hey, Tifa, great to see you.
It's wonderful to see you. And we brought you forward because yours is a really remarkable story of resilience on your part. But also a sudden like, uh-huh. Okay, so, and for us, an uh-oh to an aha is huge because once you recognize something, it's only when you recognize you can do anything about it. And then you can decide. Then you have a choice. And you got to make a choice, or you don't have to, but you did. And so tell us a little bit about you and your background and how you got to know me, because we've never actually met, even though you're even in, now you're in even in North Carolina, and I still haven't met you.
Right. Right. So I was born and raised in the South. When I graduated college, I moved to Los Angeles and was
Oh,
out there for over 25 years. Things,
things are different out there. I'm just, for those of you
yes,
who are on here and you don't know that, Los Angeles is a whole different world from
right,
southern states area. Like,
right. That's true.
just how many
That's true.
lanes they have for traffic and all the doggone palm trees and the fact that people sit
Right.
for hours and think it's reasonable in motor vehicles.
Right,
Oh,
right. My mom felt the same way as you when I
it's
offered to have her move to Los Angeles when she was having trouble. She
not
was
a not a
definitely
dare.
not into that. So I lived out there for over 25 years. When COVID hit in 2020, my husband Tom and I moved back to the South, to North Carolina, to be closer to both of our elderly mothers. His mother is 93, and it's the opposite of what's going on with my mom. She's mentally sharp, but physically declining, as opposed to my mom is much younger. My mom is, I think, 79, and is physically doing okay, but is feeling the effects of dementia.
Dementia. So, how many years was it that you were picking up on something, but it wasn't bad enough yet? And she didn't want to cut, you said she wasn't coming to Los Angeles. So it was like long distance support. How many years was that going on?
Right. So
And
this
you
is a
knew it.
weird story that I have told anyone from medical people to support care groups because I haven't heard of this happening before. But my dad died suddenly, peacefully in his sleep. He was up at the church decorating for vacation Bible school, came home. He and my mom talked. He laid down to take a nap. And when she went to wake him up, he had passed away so peacefully, his legs had not even moved. It was such a shock. But now, when I see all the alternatives, um, that is certainly a peaceful way to
Yeah, for
pass.
him,
But
it was very
my,
peaceful.
right. But that was about 15 years ago. I was
Okay.
39. Now, my mom, who has always been the strong one in the family, the successful one, she was a lobbyist for healthcare things in the state of
Mhm.
Florida. I mean, this was a go getter who grew up poor on a farm in New Hampshire,
Wow.
went to college, met my dad. He was at Dartmouth. They made this whole beautiful life together, moved to the South because that's where he got a teaching opportunity. My mom was a nurse and then parlayed that into working with the Florida legislature. So my mom was not only the rock for our family, but for all my friends. Like on their wedding days, they wanted my mom and dad to be with them. So this is the problem solver. And suddenly I land in Tallahassee, and my husband says, you know, sometimes when there's an unexpected death, the grief reaction can be strange. And I said, I know, it's such a shock. I got off, and my mom was no longer with us. So it's this strange thing of the day my dad died, it feels like both my mom and dad died, and I've never seen my mom again. So 9 months after that, she married a stranger sold the house, gave my dad's African art collection away, and moved to Idaho. I'm screaming and yelling from Los Angeles. I don't usually cuss, but I actually said the F word to my mom, thinking I've got to get her attention because she had told me she wouldn't make any major changes for 1 year.
Yeah.
But
Ooh.
she did. And she moved up there, and things got weirder and weirder and weirder. And I just couldn't, I was dealing with my own grief, and my mom is yelling at me for crying at my dad's funeral for trying to get attention for myself. So
Wow.
it's like my mom went from being the leader and like this charismatic person to just being like super mean. And
Yeah.
so I always ask people that are experts in this, can a traumatic emotional event start dementia? People always say not really, but it can definitely affect the brain. So I don't know. Something's been
Yeah.
weird since the day my dad died, but it got progressively worse.
Yeah.
And then her new husband started calling me about 8 years later, trying to send whispered calls that she'd been diagnosed with dementia. And then she would say he's being financially abusive and controlling, and that's not true. And this
Yeah.
went on and on until they finally got a divorce. Fortunately, my mom and dad had done everything that they were supposed to do. They had a power of attorney, which was a family friend who was a preacher at their church. He opened my mom with welcome arms to Vero Beach, found her a house, redecorated her house. I mean, welcomed her into the church community. But unfortunately, my mom's behavior was so strange that even the church people were like,
Yeah.
you know, so
How old
eventually
was
her
she when
living.
that happened, Rebecca? How old was your mom?
So my dad would have been 65. So my mom probably would have been 62 or something.
Wow.
Really young. I mean, she quit her
Yeah.
job.
Young
I mean, just
onset.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we classically see more frontal lobe issues, which is what you're describing, these massive shifts in abilities. Massive. I mean, just like day and night shifts. And he may have been the anchor that kept her going. And then when he was gone, her brain panicked to such an extent that it was post-traumatic stress on top of everything. And that was sort of a kicker, it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's real consistent with a post-traumatic stress event that I just talked to him. There's no way I'm only, and that whole, like, my whole life is ripped apart, can actually result in such a significant brain trauma. It's a psychological trauma, not a physical trauma, but the trauma can be very real. I have seen really real trauma, sometimes after surgeries, but I've also seen it after events. Doesn't always take a head injury. It takes a life injury. And it sounds like she had a major life injury. And the consistent pattern sounds a lot like a frontal temporal dementia, like a significant frontal temporal dementia that kicked into gear pretty quick. And then
Yeah.
part of a frontal temporal with a behavioral variant is super impulsive behavior, including sexual behavior, intimacy behaviors, financial behaviors, things that you're just like, you've got to be kidding me.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
throwing money away, gifting things,
Exactly.
but then being
Exactly.
furious about people being in charge of her money. And all people are trying
Yes.
to do is protect assets, but good luck with that.
Right.
Yeah. So it sounds like, wow, talk about baptism by fire. So this all happened and you're still on the West Coast. And were you able to do any in-person visits with her during this time?
No, because I was so furious.
You know
So
what?
that was another
I'm going
interesting
to
thing.
tell you, it's probably just as well you were not there then, because you could have
Right.
ruined the relationship for future if you had been more present. Because you were absent, she doesn't have this association of you with the trauma. What she did is, even during the event of your dad's funeral, she was doing weird sort of things that she would ever have done. So you're
No.
right. Your mom did disappear and this other woman
Right.
came into her space. Hi, I'm Tifa Snow, and you just found our YouTube channel and watched one of our videos. I'm the owner and founder of Positive Approach to Care. Thanks for watching. And if you liked, if you have a comment about, or you would, please share it with people you know. Oh, and if you haven't yet done it, consider subscribing. We'll let you know when the next new video comes out. And you might want to visit our website, www.tipasnow.com, where you'll find other resources as well. See you there.